Here we go.
What's up, guys? So in today's video, we're gonna work on the Nova. If you watched the last video, I got the exhaust all done, but the car is not running good. It's actually like bogging out, and I'm not even quite sure. I figured it was the fuel system being dirty. Obviously I cleaned that out and that didn't help. Now I kind of think it's the spark plugs and or the spark plug wires. Mostly the spark plug wires, but I think they might have screwed the plugs. So I actually got a set of plugs there. I'll show you why I think the wires are no good shortly. So yeah, let's get to work. All right, so these are the wires off the car, and obviously because it's an LS, they're super short, and some of them are really short because I have my coils mounted underneath on the engine block. So I mean, this is a wire right here, tiny. Basically, I'm checking them with an ohm meter. Oops. So if you want to check for your ohms, this bench is a mess. Hold on, let me clean this bench up just right now. Boom, much better. Okay, so to test the resistance, you put your common to this one to common, this one to this one right here. Put it on your ohms, and then here I'll test out this wire here because this is actually a new wire. An MSD wire is supposed to be about 50 ohms per foot. So you touch it. There we go. So it's like 60 ohms. And this is about a foot or maybe longer than a foot. So then I have the old wires, which here is one. So let's do the same thing with this wire. Push it in there. Push it in here. Okay, so that one is 27, which is pretty good. Okay, so then for the length of the wire, that is. And then let's do this one. There was a few of them that were like 27. I kind of retested them again. So this one, I'm not getting nothing. And there should be some resistance. Either there should be too much resistance, but there shouldn't be none. Oh, see, and then it's like, I don't know what happened there. It all of a sudden got it. But it's still like 100 for a piece of wire that's this long only, which is not good. So anyways, basically what I'm getting at is it seems like these wires are no good. Some of them, like these two here, test okay. And then some of them test the resistance is too high. And then it seems like some of them I can't get a reading at all, which could be a bad connection, because if you touch these together, if you just touch the two things together, you should get a reading of something, which means you're at least getting continuity between the two things. So, you know, if you hook, like I guess, let's see what, I don't know if it'll work if I put it, mind you, I guess that would be the same thing. If we put it on this aluminum, yeah, it still gets continuity, right? And some of these I'm getting nothing. So why exactly I'm getting nothing, I don't know. So what I'm gonna do is I'll figure out exactly which one of these are good and which ones aren't. I'm probably gonna order some new wires, but for right now I have this wire, which is new and it's never been used, and then I have this piece right here, which is also, I'm pretty sure, never been used. I tested it in an ohms resistance wise, it tests really good. Plus I also have all this wire that's brand new and never been used, so I could make wires out of that too, except I don't really want blue wires, but you can't really see them down there. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. First I'm gonna make new wires, make sure I have a full set of 8 that test good, and then I got new plugs. I got the TR6 NGKs, these ones. They say to use the BR7s when you go higher boost, but right now I only have like 9 pounds in there, so I figured I'd just use those for now until I turn the boost up, then I'll get the BR7s. So that's what I'm gonna do now. I'll start doing this, and yeah, we'll see what happens. So what I ended up doing is I took this shorty wire apart, cut off the sleeve, and it was very, very corroded on the end, first of all. But if I take this thing and I touch it here and I touch it here, I get nothing. But if I go over here, I get like 20 something, and then if I go kind of over here, I get nothing. And if I go over here, I get something. So somewhere here, the wire is not making a proper connection. Anyways, I just wanted to show you that. Here's how bad this one wire was, and how it's not really making a connection. So hopefully this is my issue, and we'll get her fixed up. All right, so I got the plugs made, wires made, except I didn't have enough to make, so I'm just gonna keep this one for now. Like I said, I'm probably gonna end up getting another set shortly. I'll order some new wire, but this is just for right now. I pulled all the plugs. So it looks like the back plugs on both back are pretty black, and the 3 front ones look pretty good. So I think next thing I'm gonna have to do is a compression test to make sure that's good, and then put the new plugs in and these wires and see what happens. I don't know if you guys can see that, but let's check this first cylinder. $175. Good compression. I'll check the rest. All right, guys, so I ended up doing the rest of the compression test, and it was 175 across the board, which is really good. So then I threw the plugs in and threw those wires on, and I'm gonna give her a try and see if it runs any better or if it runs the same.
At least you have a tool for this car.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, I don't know. So it is the next evening now. I never ended up doing anything else because we were live streaming and stuff. And you probably saw that if you guys watched the live streams. So anyways, kind of come to the conclusion or hope that it is the crank sensor, which I've pulled out here. I'm not 100% sure how you can test these. I could look it up. I know you can test them for ohms resistance and things like that. I'm gonna head to the junkyard tomorrow and possibly find one. If not, off Amazon they're 35 bucks, and I'm probably gonna order one anyways, a new one, but in the meantime, I'd like to try to get the car running. So I'm hoping that's what it is. I guess it could be the cam sensor, but a lot of people say that you can unplug it once it's running, and it'll still run good, which I don't really understand, but that's the next thing to try. So we're gonna try the crank sensor. Hopefully that's what's causing it. I mean, the symptoms of a bad crank sensor can be pretty much exactly how the car is running. So let's hope so. The other thing I'm doing out here tonight, I'm just kind of screwing around. Like I said, I dropped the starter, I got this out. Got my tools for the junkyard ready. This is the water pump for the shit horse. We've had no luck with these water pumps. Every single one we put on lasts like a year and it starts leaking. Water pumps have a weep hole, which is right down there. And it's supposed to relieve pressure if the seals start leaking, and then starts dripping out, which tells you it's time for a water pump. Well, pretty much every water pump we put on the car lasts like 6 months or a year, and then it starts leaking. So we had put one on there last year, which was good. Now we put it together, leaking. So we got to put this one on. The only issue is we have to modify it because we have our outlet coming here, not here, kind of like an F-body one does. And we have a AN fitting that comes out of this hole right here. So what we have to do, drill and tap this, and then I have to make a piece of aluminum like this and weld that hole up, which I've done probably 5 or 6 times already. So I think the guys are gonna come by tomorrow and we're gonna get this ready, and then on Saturday we're gonna go put it on the car and hopefully get it running and start tuning it and stuff. So I thought I'd update you guys. That's all I'm doing tonight. Maybe I'll take you to the junkyard tomorrow. I don't know. We'll see what happens. It's actually getting really hot out now, which is nice. But yeah, tomorrow I head to the junkyard, hopefully get this crank sensor and maybe get the car running better. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. All right, guys, so I'm here at the junkyard and I came over to this van that I was looking for, and it's funny because it looks like they cut the transmission out just like I did. Me and Mike did last year. Big hole. Cylinder heads are gone, and it actually has the actually has the gray sensor that I need right there, so we're gonna grab that. This is a 58X53. I should take the whole engine actually. I'll grab that 10mm and I'll get that off. Alright guys, there it is. We got it. There's also some other good stuff here. The flat cover. I don't know if this one has DOD delete. No, it doesn't, because it doesn't have the wires. So this is actually the good cover to get. This truck here had an L33. My friend took the 243 heads off. Luckily somebody took the engine. That's good. Good that's not going to waste. And kind of kicking around the idea of buying a Trailblazer SS. What do you guys think? Should I get one for a daily? I don't know. It would be kind of cool, I think. Just walking in this mountain of cars here. Such a shame how much stuff they crushed that could still be used, you know? Like here's another truck. Oh. Another LS, and she's in slated to be crushed area, which kind of sucks. Oh, but it's really muddy and I can't go that way. All right guys, so we got the crank sensor, got a couple other small pieces. I needed the S10 when I was driving it last week. It kept blowing a fuse, which is what runs basically the engine. And then one of my buddies was saying that maybe you need to put one of these kind of circuit breakers in. I just took one out of that S10 Blazer, and actually where I keep blowing the fuse is where this circuit breaker is, so it's probably not supposed to have a fuse. It's supposed to have one of these. So now we got one, so we'll throw that in too when we get home and hope that this crank sensor works. All right, so I came back, I put the crank sensor in. It didn't do anything, but whatever, that's okay. Now I got a spare crank sensor. We're just going to continue on. So I've been kind of screwing around, haven't really figured anything out. I broke my V-band clamp that holds this on. Kind of sucks, but we'll fix that. So then what I found was, I was just checking all the connections and stuff, and I found that, where'd it go now? Oh, it's stuck down there. The alternator wire that goes from the alternator and it goes all the way to the back basically looked like this. The other half, the cable itself, is in the car right now, but it was pretty much held on with like 2 or 3 threads of this. So I don't know if that's, I mean, that's not good, but I don't know if that was something causing my issue or voltage. Let's see if I can grab hold of it. Oh, it's still hot. Oh, it's hot. Okay, so if you take a look at this, you can see how burnt all this right here is for some reason. But I mean, you can tell it was like broken for a while. So I'm going to cut this off, reconnect it, and see if that does anything. Regardless, that has to be fixed, so we'll do that and we'll give her a try and see if that makes any difference or not. Hey, what's up? So it's the next day now. I'm out here grinding on the car again, trying to figure it out. So what I ended up doing is verified timing. So basically what you do, you bring piston up to top dead center, you make a mark like on the timing cover. I don't know if you can see it, there's a mark there. You make a mark on the balancer, fire it up, and use the timing light, and it should be at whatever timing you have it set to on your like MS3 Pro, so or whatever kind of system you're running. I did that, 22 degrees, perfect, exactly what it's supposed to be at. What I tried next is, while it was running, I was unplugging injectors. I unplugged the front 4 injectors. It pretty much ran exactly the same. Then I tried unplugging the rear 4 injectors. It stalled. Like with the, I plugged the front ones back in, unplugged the rear ones, wouldn't stay running. Tried starting it with the rear injectors unplugged, won't start. With them plugged in and the front ones unplugged, it will start, and it actually runs. So I've kind of narrowed it down to the front 4 injectors are not firing, so maybe they're firing, but they're not firing enough fuel. Maybe they're plugged, or the MS3 Pro drivers are something wrong with them, injector drivers, or I got a vacuum leak. Is kind of the 3 things I've come up with. So the next thing I'm going to do is verify if I'm getting like power to the injectors, good power to the injectors. Then I'll pull the rails. Maybe the injectors are plugged, or maybe they're faulty. I hope they're not faulty, but they could be faulty. I don't know if I can clean them or whatever, but that's kind of my next thing. And then possibly pull the intake off. And if I do all that and still no good, then it's got to be the MS3 box, something wrong with it, and I'll have to send it back, which really sucks. But yeah, so I'm gonna figure out how I can test these injectors. I don't have a Noid light, but I might be able to make one. A Noid light basically plugs into the plug here, and then when you crank it, it blinks. But you can actually use like the light from like a taillight bulb if you have the holder and everything, which I'm looking around. I think I might have one, but I'll see what I can find, and we'll check that. All right, so I actually found pretty much just a light like this, and I already tested it, but I'll show you guys again what it does. So let's fire this thing back up. So you can see that it's lighting up, which means the injector is getting impulse from the computer to fire. I tested it against one of the other ones on the back, which I'm positive are working, or pretty sure are working, and the amount of blinking or the brightness is exactly the same. So that tells me that the wiring is there, at least on those two. I'm going to check the other two just to be safe. But yeah, so next thing to do will be to pull the fuel rails off, I guess, or pull the intake off. Maybe I'll pull the whole intake off so that I can also check for vacuum leaks. Maybe the intake gaskets are no good or something. I don't know. I'll think about what I'm going to do. Ended up pulling the intake off. I took this one fuel rail off because I had the lines caught underneath it. I'm kind of looking for cracks or holes in the intake, maybe something stupid like that, but I'm not really seeing anything. Not on that part anyways. I mean, there is a crack here in the body filler, which I'm gonna fix. I don't think it's really a crack in terms of leaking, because I tried putting duct tape on it. It didn't do anything, so it didn't make any difference at all. The next thing I'll do is pull the injectors out, and then I gotta figure out, I'll inspect them good and stuff and go from there, I guess, and see what I can find. I might have to send them out to get cleaned and checked out. What I could also do is switch the injectors from front to rear or side to side, whatever, like, you know, so that the ones that I don't think are working will go in the back, and then if they switch to the back, we know it's just the injectors, right? But it's kind of a lot of work to do. So I'm going to inspect this intake and we'll see. All right, so it is the next day. Ended up working on the shit horse, which you'll see in a different video. So I have the intake here. I pulled all the injectors out, which I put aside for right now. I don't see any dirt in them, like in terms of like, I thought maybe there'd be, you know, possibly some chunks of foam from that stupid fuel cell, but so far nothing. They look pretty good. I took a light and used my camera phone to like look in there as good as I could, and I mean, what I can see, I don't see anything bad really. And obviously, I mean, I could rig up a way to clean them or blow carb cleaner or injector cleaner into them, and maybe I'll go buy some injector cleaner, at least spray it into the inlets beforehand in case there is a little bit of dirt in there. I don't know. But what I've decided I'm going to do is I'm going to switch the front injectors to the back to the front, put it back on. If it follows, we know it's the injectors, and then it'll come apart. I'll send the injectors out to get cleaned or something along those lines. Otherwise, pretty sure it's got to be something to do with the MS3 box. It's the injector drivers. Apparently there was an issue with MS3 Pro Ultimates. Mine never really acted up, so I never sent it back, because obviously, as you guys know, living in Canada, it's a real pain in the ass to send shit back, places, shipping, etc., etc. But I'm kind of leaning towards that's the issue. So, but what I'm going to do today, or finish up today, is I'm going to fix this crack. I'll show you this crack. And it's not like, I don't think it's not a crack like, oh, it's a plastic intake, it cracked. I think it's just, it's body filler on plastic. It probably just cracked, right? I've never had any like intake backfires or anything like that. So it's just a crack in the body filler. Maybe it was too thick, or I don't know. So what I'm going to do is just kind of grind this out, put a nice coat of filler on, smooth it all out, clean it up, etc., and then put the intake back on. I'm actually contemplating ordering one of those new BTR intakes for it. I think that they look very similar to this, and I believe they even have they kind of like angle up like this one does. which would be good for me because I wouldn't have to change my charge tube or anything. So I'm kind of looking at buying one of those, but of course they're not cheap, so unless BTR wants to send me one, that'd be nice, but I'm not going to hold my breath. So anyways, I am going to get doing this intake, and then once it's done, we'll put it back on and then probably fire it up and see if it made a difference. If it made a difference, great. If it doesn't, then I'll be contacting like megasquirtdiytune.com, where I got the Megasquirt from, and probably boxing it up and sending her back. I just ground it out a little bit here. So it wasn't like very much. It seems like once I got past the first couple layers of filler that it was pretty much okay. So a little bit of filler on there, smooth it out, be good as new. Give her a little coat of primer just over the area, but I sanded the whole top. I'll give the whole top a paint job, and then once it dries, I'll be able to start putting it back together, get it on the car and try it and see what happens in terms of the injectors. And like I said, if they still don't work, then I guess I'll look at contacting Megasquirt. So I got her all painted up. I think it turned out pretty good. The paint looks maybe shinier than what was on there before, but it might just be because it's new compared to the stuff that's been on there for a while. I also got intake gaskets from Mike that they're not new, but they looked like pretty relatively new, so I figured I'd switch to these ones on the off chance the gaskets weren't sealing good or something. And yeah, so I'm just gonna let this dry for a bit and then get it back on the car. Okay, so I got it all back together. We're gonna try it, and like I said, I don't know, not holding out a lot of hope that it's gonna fix it, but hey, you never know. If it doesn't start good, then it definitely isn't working, because it usually starts pretty easy, and it's obviously not starting very easy, which is because it's trying to start on 4 cylinders. Check for fuel leaks. Everything looks good. I would say it's no better. Okay, so let's try unhooking the rear 4 injectors again, and then it shouldn't start at all. If it still tries to start, then that means I lose the injectors, but I don't think so. Maybe it is the injectors. Well, you know what? It might be the injectors are plugged or dirty or no good, or let me try plugging them all in again. But before it was like, if I unplugged the rear ones, it wouldn't start, but now I switched them, so. I don't know, guys. Maybe it is the injectors. I mean, it seemed now, last time when I unplugged the rear 4 ones, it wouldn't start at all. Now I unplugged them and it still started, so that means the issue followed. But it's kind of weird, why all 4? Why would 4 of the injectors be like plugged or dirty or whatever?
I
don't know. I'll have to charge the battery and try it again. All right, so I let the battery charge up. I just had it running again. And so basically, now it's the opposite. Now if I unplug the rear injectors, it stays running. And if I unplug the front injectors separately, it'll die. So, which tells me that it's the injectors. So either I got some bad injectors, or they're dirty, or plugged, or something. So, I mean, I can start it up again and show you what it's doing. That's 2, 3, 4. Makes like no difference, but let's unplug these ones. Dies. So if I unplug the front 4, it won't run, it won't start, nothing. If I unplug the rear 4, I can start it with just the 4 front ones. And before it was the opposite, it was the 4 back ones, not the 4 front ones. So that tells me it's the injectors. So, while that sucks and all, it at least means that the MS3 Pro is good. It's the injectors. It's something with the injectors, they're dirty, or like I said, they're no good. So, of course, that means I have to pull the intake off again or pull the injectors out again, which isn't a huge deal. So I'll have to do that and then take them somewhere and get them checked out and cleaned and or buy new ones. See what happens. Guys, so back on the garage. It's another day. Saw that little bit of cruising footage. I should have done some more, but got a little bit in there. So I got the intake off again. One thing that I read that I should check is ohms resistance on the injectors, because that would tell me if injector's bad. So I don't know if I'll be able to hold the camera. So basically, you just obviously touch one side to the other. See if I can do it with one hand. And you'll see that it goes to like 3.0, 2.9, whatever. I'm holding it on there. Anyways, take my word for it. They're all the same. So that's good. That tells me that they're the same. So the next thing to do will be to take the fuel rails off, take the injectors out again, and then I don't know. I'm thinking about trying to clean them a bit myself. I've seen some videos, obviously on YouTube, where guys just clean them themselves with some carb cleaner. The injectors are, relatively new. They're not dirty like, I don't think they're dirty like varnished and gummed up. They're just dirty from that stupid fuel cell foam. So I don't know. I'm going to take a look at them, kind of see what I can figure out. And if I think I can clean them myself, or if I try it and it actually seems to work, then it's all good. If not, I'll have to take them in and get them done. I just, I'd rather not spend the money if I don't have to, and if I can just do something to clean them. If I can like spray some stuff inside and some dirt comes out, I don't know. But next thing I'll have to do is take the fuel rails off, get the injectors off, and go from there. Okay guys, so I took the rails off. Got it all apart, and I got this one injector off, and I just turned it upside down, and I went like that on the ground, and you can see all this black crap in there. Yeah, so that's the foam. So that's great. So I think what I also gonna do is I'm gonna drain the whole fuel system, and then I'll go buy like a few gallons of gas, pour it in, and then flush it again before I put it back together, because obviously, and pull the filter out again because maybe it's dirty. Like when I put the gas, I shouldn't have put the gas back in. I put the old gas back in, which I shouldn't have done. But I filtered it, and there was lots of crap in that filter that I used, but there could have also still been in the whole system. So, but I mean, that's pretty crappy for just basically turning it over and going, like, look what just came out of there. Like, look at all that. Like, look at the big chunk. Let's take one of the ones that is supposed to be, or supposedly was working, and see. See, like, now that one not, oh, there's still some crap in there. You can see it. Oh yeah, look at that. There's, yeah, you can see there's lots there. Yeah, so definitely that's not good. But yeah, like I said, we're gonna have to flush this whole fuel system, clean it out really good, get rid of this gas, put in fresh gas, and then hopefully that's gonna cure our problem. I'm gonna show you how I watch a guy on YouTube do this. And I've already done 7 of them, so I'll just do the last one to show you guys. And I mean, it works. I mean, so basically what you do is you take the rubber O-ring off, put in your pocket so you don't lose it, because I lost one. Luckily I have more, but okay. So then you got your injector. Then you take a tire valve stem like this, okay? You take the core out of the inside, and actually it fits right on the injector here like this, nice and tight, see? Then you drill a little hole in the valve stem cap, put it on, put your tube for your like cleaner, fuel injector, carb cleaner stuff. Then you put it together like this. I'll get you in a little closer. So you have it in there. Then what you want to do is you want to take a plug from your, like a wiring you get from the junkyard or whatever, plug it into the injector, hook it to ground like that, and then, oops. Okay. Of course, don't cooperate with me when I'm filming, right? Okay. Then pretty much what you want to do is take your power, which is here, and then just, you don't want to hold it on the injector. You want to just quickly like tap it, because that's how the injector works. It doesn't just get solid power, it just gets like that. And at the same time that you're doing that, you're going to spray the stuff. So you start spraying the stuff. Like that. And so as you can see, it's making a nice spray of fuel, which is telling you the injector is working, obviously, and that it's not, I mean, like I said, in the case of my injectors, I don't think they're dirty, gummed up. They got shit in the little screen. There's a little screen at the front, at the opening of the injector, and I think it just has crap in it. So I've done them all like that. They all squirt good. So as far as I'm concerned, they're good. So I don't know. I'm hoping that this was my issue, but like I said, I also want to clear out the whole fuel system, because I'm scared that there's crap in the fuel system, and every time I try to start it, maybe stuff is going up and then plugging the injectors. So I think this is an easy way to do it. I mean, the guy who did it has a video on YouTube about it, and he did it exactly like this, and he says it works. I don't know. It definitely shows that the injectors spray good. So yeah, I don't know. Intake and everything's back on. I took all the fuel lines at the back off and stuff. And the fuel rails and all that, blew them all out, cleaned them with the cleaner, get any crap out of there. And then what I'm gonna do tomorrow is this is loose right here. I'm gonna unhook this, pull it underneath the car, and put it into a bucket, into like a gas can, and then I'll run the fuel pump, drain the fuel, and also, I guess, kind of rinse it out as it's going through, hopefully. And then clean everything, pull the filter apart again, and then get some fresh gas and hope that we're good. All right, so we're back out here working on the Nova. I was just kind of working on my Tahoe over there. Kind of decided that I'm going to park it for the summer, and I'm gonna drive the Jimmy as my daily, because the Tahoe actually needs a lot of work, rust repair and mechanical stuff, and I'm thinking about getting rid of it. I'm thinking about replacing it, possibly with like a Trailblazer SS, maybe, if I can find a good deal on one. Something cool like that. Or maybe buy a Trailblazer and build a clone, SS clone. Something like that, I don't know. But I'm parking it for the summer. I already took up the battery, good battery out of it and stuff. I'm gonna store it at my mom's. It's kind of weird. I've been driving the thing for 14 years, dailying it, and it feels kind of weird to, like, you know, be pulling parts out of it like you're not going to drive it anymore. I guess I get attached to things, as you can tell. Obviously, I've owned all of these cars for a long time. But anyways, whatever. Let's get back to talking about the Nova. So I drained the gas that was in that gas can, which had been in the fuel cell. And I don't know if you guys can see it. Yeah, let me put it over something white, maybe? I don't know if you can see all that sediment in there. Pieces of foam, just tons of like garbage in there. Alright, so I'm gonna go under here and get that fuel line. Hopefully I don't pour fuel all over my face. And hopefully this reaches. Well, that worked perfectly. Just rigged up a wire from the relay base to the battery. Simple as that. Ugh. I'm gonna get a light and show you guys inside. Hopefully you can see all the sediment in there. It's like black streaks. I don't know how I can put the light so you guys can see it. Here, let me lay the light. Maybe there. Anyways, take my word for it. There's a bunch of crap in there. So what I'm gonna do now is get the gas drained out. Once it's drained out, then I'm gonna take the fuel cell out, the fuel filter out, clean everything again really good, and then I'll go get the more gas. Right, so I got the fuel cell out, got it all apart. I got the filter here, and then this is the gas. So I'd say that's pretty gross, if you ask me. I don't know, so I'm starting to wonder, like, was it the fuel cell, or did I get some really bad gas? Like, I mean, look at that. It's not even clear. It's like straight up gray. So I don't know. I mean, there was some race gas in there, some 112 octane from when I raced it. There might, and that's what I kind of thought, because it's kind of a blue color, but that does not look blue. That looks black. I cleaned the fuel cell. Just used some brake clean and some of that carb cleaner stuff. I got it pretty clean. Now, it looked pretty dirty in there. There was lots of crap, but I cleaned it all out. I took the fuel filter apart, and now you can actually see right there, there's a big chunk of something. I checked the rest of the filter, and there is dirt in it again. Not quite as bad as it was the first time, but I'm gonna clean it again. The fuel cell's clean, then I can put that stuff all back in. Took the gas and I put this funnel with a rag. I mean, if you look close to the rag, you can actually see some pieces. But then when I strained it through into this bottle, it's actually pretty clear. The reason it's blue is because there was some race gas in there still. But I mean, it actually looks pretty good overall if you put it up to the light. But I'm not gonna chance putting it back in there. But I'm going to throw it in the Jimmy because it is carbureted, and I mean, there's not so many things that can get clogged up. But I don't really see much dirt in there, and it looks pretty clean. And even straining it through, I'm not seeing a lot of gas or a lot of dirt on the rag. So I'm going to do that, clean the jug out, and then I'll go get some fresh gas to like cycle through it. I went and got gas, put it in there, and now's the moment of truth. See if it runs any better. Prime it, check for leaks. Everything looks good. Let's see what happens. Alright guys, that's awesome. It's fixed. Should run in mint. The only thing is it's idling kind of fast. But don't forget, I've also been fiddling with the tune and changing things and screwing around, and I actually changed the throttle position sensor, thinking that might be an issue. So maybe the throttle position sensor isn't calibrated right, so I'll have to do that. But yeah, that's awesome. So there you go. That was the issue. It's all fixed now. Unfortunately, it's raining. We can't go cruising, go for a ride or anything, but pretty happy about that it's running good again. So yeah, it's going to be it for this video. Like always, like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends. We'll check you later.
Boy, that was good.
Yeah.